Most people don't think twice before entering an old building, a quiet back road, or a shadowy park at dusk. We're taught to brush off uneasy feelings, to label chills as coincidence, and to silence that tiny voice that says, "Something's off." But what if that voice wasn't just fear talking? What if some places really do hold onto the energy of everything that's ever happened there, and some of it isn't ready to let go? This video isn't about superstition, it's about awareness. Because while most places are just places, some are magnets for grief, for chaos, for pain that never moved on. And if you happen to walk in at the wrong time, especially when your guard is down, that energy can attach to you without you even noticing. Not like a ghost hiding in the closet, but more like a heaviness that follows you home, settles in your mood, disrupts your sleep, throws off your rhythm. It's subtle, and that's what makes it dangerous. You don't have to believe in spirits to understand energy. Every space holds something: vibes, memories, resonance. Step into a room after a big argument and you'll feel the tension still hanging in the air. Walk into a church or a cabin after years of silence and the stillness almost hums. Now imagine a place where people suffered or died suddenly or lost everything, and no one ever cleared out that weight. This isn't fear-mongering. It's a quiet invitation to stay aware. Because you don't need to be fragile for something dark to follow you. You just need to be unaware. And sometimes just stepping into the wrong place, even for a few minutes, is enough. So before you walk through that overgrown trail, that abandoned house, or that oddly cold corner of the neighborhood, pause and ask yourself, is this space empty, or is it just unseen? Number 1, forgotten roads where restless energy sleeps. We've all seen them, roads that time forgot. The kind that snakes quietly behind the town's edge, lined with wild grass, a crooked fence, maybe an old streetlight that still flickers at dusk. Roads no longer mapped by GPS, barely remembered except by those who used to drive them before the highway took over. Most people pass by without a second thought. But for some, there's an unsettling familiarity in those places, as if the silence is not empty but waiting. There's something about forgotten roads that doesn't feel fully abandoned. The pavement may be cracked, the signs may be rusted, but there's a stillness that doesn't quite sit right. It's not peace, it's pause, it's breath held too long. You roll down your window for air, but the air feels heavier there. You slow down not because you have to, but because something inside you just did. And sometimes, that's the first sign that you're not alone. This isn't about ghost stories or Halloween thrills. It's about a truth most people sense but rarely name. Places absorb what happens in them. A joyful memory lingers in a home the same way sorrow lingers in a hospital room. Energy doesn't disappear, it settles. And when a place sits too long without light, without laughter, without life, it becomes fertile ground for everything left behind. Forgotten roads don't just collect dust, they collect remnants. Whispers of accidents no one talks about. Grief that never got spoken, memories that refuse to fade. You may have heard the stories. People who took a shortcut one night and came home different, not possessed, not cursed, just off, irritable, distracted, tired in a way no sleep could fix. Relationships start to strain, sleep becomes restless, odd dreams like someone watching, appliances breaking down without reason. And while none of it screams paranormal, the pattern is clear. Something came home with them even if it didn't ride in the car. In spiritual traditions around the world, roads are more than concrete. They're paths of transition. Energetic arteries that carry movement, intention, and direction. When a road is alive, people using it, sunlight hitting it, nature growing in harmony, it flows with life. But when it's abandoned, energy stagnates, and stagnation breeds decay. Not just physical rot, but spiritual heaviness. The kind that clings to you in silence, follows you back to places where it doesn't belong. Still, you might wonder, how can an empty road affect anyone? It's just pavement and weeds, right? That's the logic we've all grown up with. But think about how your body reacts when you walk into a room after a fight, or how your chest tightens at a funeral, even if you didn't know the person. We feel energy even when we don't want to. And some environments hold onto sadness, violence, or fear so tightly that if you're not grounded, that energy sees you as open. And here's the unsettling part. Energy, especially dark or restless energy, doesn't need permission. It only needs proximity. Walk through it tired, distracted, emotionally worn down, and you're a perfect match. It doesn't chase you like a scene from a horror movie. It doesn't scream. It simply slips in unnoticed. One moment you're fine, then things slowly begin to shift. You stop humming in the kitchen. You snap at people you love. You cancel plans for no reason. You feel like something's weighing on you, but can't explain what. This is why some people seem especially sensitive to certain places. Why children cry in spots adults call just creepy. Why your dog refuses to walk past that one trail near the woods. We write these things off, but they speak the same language. Something's off. And forgotten roads, quiet, dark, rarely walked, are places where the veil is thin and the residue is thick. But this isn't about fear. It's about awareness. The kind of awareness that keeps your peace intact. That reminds you not every space is meant for your presence. That sometimes turning around is strength, not superstition. So what do you do when you find yourself driving past one of these places? Maybe the road cuts through old farmland. Maybe it passes behind a church or dips under a bridge no one repairs anymore. If your body reacts first, your shoulders tighten, your breath shallows. Your instinct says, not this way. Listen, that's not irrational. That's memory passed down in your cells. That's your energy field doing its job. And if you must pass through, maybe you're lost, maybe there's no other route, do it consciously. Stay grounded, keep your focus. Don't let your energy scatter. Drive with windows closed. Don't play around. Don't challenge what you don't understand. These aren't rules from fear, they are boundaries from wisdom. Not everything that looks empty is safe. And not everything that follows you was meant to. Because some roads don't lead anywhere, they only take. Number 2, recent accident cites grief that hasn't moved on. You don't need incense. You don't need a candle. You don't even need to believe in anything mystical. All you need is 7 small peppercorns and a quiet moment with your own hands. That's it. Because this isn't about magic. It's about memory. About finally giving shape to something you've carried far too long. Take a few minutes to find a space where you won't be interrupted. Maybe it's your kitchen counter after the dishes are done. Maybe it's your bedside before sleep, wherever you feel safe and still. Then take 7 black peppercorns in your palm, whole ones, round, unbroken. That detail matters, not because they are powerful, but because they are whole, just like the wholeness you've been trying to return to. Close your fingers around them gently. Let your hand rest like you're holding something fragile, not because the peppercorns will break, but because they're carrying something precious, your unspoken pain. The things you couldn't say at the time, the moments that passed too quickly for you to defend yourself, the looks that lingered long after the room went quiet. It's all there, tucked into your palm, waiting for release. Close your eyes, breathe in slowly, not to force calm, but to remind your body that it's safe, that this moment is yours. With each inhale, imagine warmth beginning to rise in your palm, like sunlight through glass, like water beginning to boil. That sensation isn't in your imagination, it's the shift you've needed. A moment where your body and spirit finally align. You don't need to chant anything fancy. You don't need to memorize lines, but if it feels right, say this softly from your heart. I release, I protect. I no longer hold what isn't mine, and I trust that what needs to come will find its way. That's all. You don't even have to say it out loud. What matters isn't volume, it's sincerity. Because this isn't about sending energy at someone. It's about calling your own energy back, reclaiming the parts of yourself that got scattered when someone treated you carelessly. What you're holding now isn't just pepper, it's protection. 7 tiny shields absorbing what you're finally ready to let go of. Not because you've forgotten, but because you deserve better than to be defined by the harm someone else caused. Let yourself feel what rises. Maybe it's anger, maybe it's sadness. Maybe it's a memory you thought you'd buried. Let it come. Let it pass. These emotions are just old guests finally packing up and leaving. You don't need to fight them, just let them go. When you're ready, really ready, decide where these 7 peppercorns will go next. Not just tossed away, not hidden but placed. Intentionally, with care, that part will come soon, but for now, just sit. Feel the warmth in your hand, the quiet around you. the steady beat of your own heart. It's still here, still strong, still capable of healing. This small ritual, as quiet as it is, can open more than just your hand. It opens a door, a shift, a permission you've been waiting for, but now no longer need from anyone else. You've just given it to yourself, and that changes everything. Because here's the part no one tells you: when you truly let go, the energy doesn't just disappear. It moves, it ripples outward, it brushes against people you haven't spoken to in years. It softens the tension between you and the world. And sometimes, yes, sometimes, it brings someone back, not always with words, but with a change in their posture, a shift in how they speak to you, an apology that's more energy than language. But even if that never happens, you've already won, because you no longer need it, because your peace no longer depends on their awareness, and because 7 little peppercorns have done something most conversations never could. They've helped you return to yourself. Number 3, empty houses. Dust is the least of your worries. At first glance, an empty house seems harmless, maybe even inviting, a chance to start fresh. A blank slate. The walls may be chipped, the floors creak, but it's nothing a little paint and polish can't fix. That's what we're taught to believe. But if you've ever walked into a house that's been empty too long and felt something press against your chest, like the air itself didn't want you there, you know there's more to a space than what you can see. Dust is not the problem. Dust settles. It's quiet, predictable. What should worry you more is the kind of stillness that doesn't feel natural. The kind that makes you lower your voice without knowing why. The kind that makes you hesitate at the doorway, even as your realtor tells you how great the deal is. In places like this, it's not just silence you're stepping into, it's what was left behind. When a home sits empty for years, it doesn't stay neutral. Homes are meant to be lived in. They breathe with us. They echo laughter, absorb arguments, reflect daily routines. But without people, a house loses rhythm. And what takes its place isn't just emptiness, it's residual energy. Sometimes it's sadness, sometimes fear, sometimes nothing at all, and somehow that's worse. Not all energy is evil, but some energy is stagnant. And stagnant energy, like still water, starts to turn. What was once a place of warmth can slowly become a container for everything unresolved. That fight that ended in slammed doors, that illness no one talked about, that departure that never really felt like a goodbye. These things don't just vanish. They settle into the corners. They soak into the walls. And when you walk in unguarded, especially if you're stressed or grieving or just off, that energy can find its way into your own. You might not notice it at first. Just a little unease, a headache that lingers. Nights where sleep doesn't come easy or comes full of strange dreams. You feel watched, but not by anyone in particular. You start losing things, forgetting words. You stop playing music in the kitchen. You're not unhappy, but something feels misaligned. This isn't coincidence. This is contact. You've begun to carry the weight of a space that hasn't been cleansed. In older spiritual practices, people understood this. Moving into a new space, especially one long abandoned, always began with clearing. Smudging, prayer, incense, sound. Not because the place was haunted, but because it held memory. And memory, when left untended, can harden into atmosphere. The air thickens. The light doesn't quite reach the corners. Even the plants don't grow the same. But in modern life, we rush, we renovate, we flip homes, we scrape and sand and think that's enough. We focus on the visual while completely ignoring the invisible. And we wonder why some homes, no matter how beautiful, always feel heavy. Why families who move in start to fall apart. Why things break down or people get sick or joy just fades. Not all houses are broken, but some are tired. Some have been holding sorrow too long, and they're not ready to hold anyone else yet. So what should you look for? How do you know when an empty house isn't just a fixer-upper, but something deeper? Pay attention to your first step inside. Your body knows before your brain does. If your mood drops for no reason, if the air feels too cold or too still, if you suddenly want to turn around, listen. That's not paranoia, that's perception, and it might be the only warning you get. If you choose to stay, or if you must, then enter with reverence, not fear. Clean thoroughly, yes, but also cleanse energetically. Play music, open the windows, let the light in. Burn sage or incense if it feels right to you. Speak gently to the space. Set intentions. Invite peace. Treat the home as something alive, not a shell, but a being that can heal slowly with care. Because if you don't acknowledge what the house has seen, it may ask you to carry it. And that's a weight most people never realize they've picked up until it's too late. Number 4, massive trees with roots too deep. Not all shade is safe. There's something quietly powerful about old trees. The ones that tower at the edge of a field or sit like sentinels near forgotten trails. Their roots split the earth. Their branches reach higher than rooftops. And when you step beneath their shade, the world goes still. It's a beautiful kind of silence, but not always a safe one. Not all shade is restful. Some shade feels like protection. Other shade feels like boundary. There are trees so old, so untouched, that standing under them feels less like entering nature and more like entering someone else's space. You don't know who, you don't know what, but something in your body softens, steps back, lowers its voice. It's not fear, it's recognition. In many cultures, large trees are seen as connectors between worlds, roots deep in the earth, branches brushing the sky. And when no one disturbs them for decades, they begin to hold energy. Not just the energy of wind and sun, but the emotional residue of the people who passed by. The grief whispered beneath the leaves, the prayers offered when no one else was listening. The sorrow left unspoken. Trees remember things, especially the quiet ones. And sometimes they become more than trees. They become hosts for stillness, for memory, for spirit. You may have passed by one of these without realizing it. A tree that feels colder than the rest of the forest. One that draws your eyes even from far away, or maybe you've seen how animals avoid it, or how kids get quiet around it. There's no warning sign, just a sense that this isn't a tree you should sit beneath at dusk. Not unless you ask, not unless you understand what still lives here. This isn't fantasy, it's awareness. Because spaces that go untouched for too long don't stay neutral. The same way empty houses grow heavy, so do trees that have witnessed too much. A tree near a battlefield, a tree planted near an old grave, a tree that once stood in someone's backyard and now stands alone. These aren't just part of the landscape. They've absorbed stories, some beautiful, some painful, some unfinished. And if you walk in unaware, those stories might brush against your own. People who have unknowingly disrespected sacred trees, cutting branches, laughing too loud beneath them, relieving themselves near the base, often don't feel anything in the moment. But days later, they might grow restless, start having strange dreams, wake up at 3 a.m. without knowing why, feel watched but not threatened, just observed. Sometimes it passes, but sometimes it stays. You don't need to fear these trees, but you do need to honor them. Nature isn't just scenery, it's system, memory, intelligence. And when a part of that system becomes a vessel for spirit, especially one tied to death, loss, or ancient belief, it becomes a threshold. A place where energies shift without needing permission, where something might notice you, even if you don't notice it first. So how do you know if a tree is more than just a tree? Trust your intuition. If the air beneath it feels different, if the birds are quiet, if the light doesn't move the same through its branches, if the space feels sacred even if you don't know why, that's reason enough to pause, not to fear, but to respect. If you feel called to sit beneath it, do so with care. Say hello, thank it, speak out loud if you must. Trees have been here far longer than we have. Some of them carry centuries of quiet, and they expect a certain reverence, not out of arrogance, but out of balance. Because when you respect a tree like that, it doesn't just leave you alone, it might even bless you, offer clarity, still your breath, remind you of your place in a much larger world. But when you barge in loud, careless, or proud, it may not forgive you right away, and its silence will feel very, very different. The scariest part is if something follows you home from a place like that, it won't scream. It won't slam doors, it'll just stay close. In the corner of your dreams, in the silence before you fall asleep, in the parts of your life that suddenly feel just a little out of step. So the next time you pass by a towering tree whose roots feel older than the town itself, pause, don't lean, don't joke, don't pick its leaves, just nod, acknowledge, respect, because not all shade was made for resting. Number 5. Rivers where someone drowned the surface isn't all that moves. There's something about water that pulls us in. Lakes, rivers, streams, they calm the mind, soften the noise of the world. People walk along the shore to think, to heal, to breathe, but not all water is gentle, and not all rivers flow with peace. Some waters have witnessed tragedy, a sudden slip, a desperate gasp, a silence that followed too fast. People drown for all kinds of reasons, accidents, missteps, choices made in moments of darkness, but the water doesn't forget, especially when no one said goodbye. In many spiritual traditions, drowning is considered a form of unfinished departure. The body sinks, but the spirit lingers. There's no closure, no clear goodbye, just an abrupt severing of breath. And when that happens, especially in places where the current runs deep and the light struggles to reach the bottom, something stays behind. You might not see it. You might not even believe it. But if you've ever stood at the edge of a river where someone died and felt your breath shorten or your shoulders tense, you felt it. Not fear, not imagination, but resonance. Water is a carrier of memory, of vibration, of emotion. That's why people feel better after a hot shower or a swim in the ocean. But the reverse is also true. Water that has held panic, grief, or death carries that too. It doesn't scream. It doesn't warn. It just moves quietly, invisibly, waiting for someone unaware to step too close. Some people describe a coldness that rises from the water and wraps around their ankles. Others say they feel heavy after being near certain parts of a river. Not tired, just off. Like something attached itself to them, even if they can't explain what. This isn't about ghosts pulling you under. It's about energy that hasn't moved on, places where sorrow got caught in the current and never made it to shore. And when someone steps near, especially during dusk, during storms, during the high flow of rainy season, they step into more than just water. They step into what's left behind. And here's the thing, most of these places look calm, beautiful even, that's the unsettling part. A bend in the river, a fishing spot, a quiet dock where no one goes anymore. You might be drawn to it without knowing why. You sit, you breathe, and then you leave, but something leaves with you. You start sleeping lighter, waking in the middle of the night, losing track of time, feeling unreasonably sad or suddenly distant from the people around you. Small things go wrong, you brush it off, but the weight lingers. It's not fear, it's disconnection. In old wisdom, people didn't let children play near rivers without supervision, not just for safety, but for spiritual protection. They avoided being too close at dusk. They didn't speak loudly near waters where someone had died, not because they feared punishment, but because they understood some grief should not be disturbed. So how can you tell when water is holding onto something heavy? Sometimes it's the silence. Sometimes it's the way birds avoid a certain edge. Sometimes it's the way your own reflection doesn't quite feel like yours. If your instincts tell you to step back, trust them. You're not being dramatic, you're being aware. And if you ever find yourself needing to be near such a place, maybe to honor someone, maybe because life took you there, go with intention. Stay grounded, keep your energy close, don't speak of yourself carelessly, don't toss stones, don't call out to the water, speak softly or not at all. And when you leave, leave completely. Don't linger, don't turn back, let your thoughts be your own again. If you feel off when you get home, rinse your hands, step into sunlight, breathe deep. Say something kind out loud about your life, your purpose, your peace. Anchor yourself, because energy only sticks when you're open. Not all rivers hold darkness, but some do, and the surface isn't always the truth. So the next time you walk by still water, especially in a place known for loss, ask yourself, is it peace I feel or quiet that hasn't let go yet? Number 6. Homes near cemeteries, the light doesn't stay long. There's a kind of quiet that settles over neighborhoods near cemeteries. Streets lined with tidy houses, trimmed hedges, the occasional wind chime catching a breeze. Everything looks normal. Peaceful even. And yet if you've ever lived in one of those homes or visited a friend who does, you might have felt it, that subtle shift in the air. Not cold, not dark, just heavy. It starts with small things. Rooms that always feel dim, even with the curtains wide open. A silence that clings after the TV is off. Mornings that don't quite lift the mood. You light candles more often, you nap but wake up tired. Conversations feel slower, like something is quietly dragging everything down. At first, you don't think much of it. But over time, you notice the light doesn't stay. Living near a cemetery isn't inherently dangerous, but it isn't neutral either. Cemeteries hold grief, remembrance, transition. They're sacred in many ways, but sacred doesn't always mean suitable. The land is quiet not because it's restful, but because it's filled with energy that no longer moves forward. It lingers, it reflects, and sometimes it spills past its boundary. Homes built near these places often rest on what's called residual space, land that absorbs the frequency of mourning. Not the loud kind, but the deep, enduring kind. The energy of final goodbyes, of unfinished conversations, of souls not quite ready to let go. Even if your home is beautiful, even if your life is steady, that lingering tone in the environment can start to shape how you feel inside it. You might find yourself stuck in patterns. Projects never finish. Plans keep getting postponed. Arguments repeat without resolution. You're not falling apart, but you're not moving forward either. It's not depression. It's energetic inertia, the weight of living in a space too close to stillness. Children especially pick up on this. Some cry without reason. Some avoid certain corners of the house. Others speak of seeing shadows or feeling like someone's watching from the hallway. Pets might growl at empty rooms or sleep only in very specific spots. You may not see anything unusual, but your space is reacting. In older traditions, people were careful about where they built homes. They understood that proximity matters. You don't build where the soil remembers too much sorrow. You don't sleep where the veil between this world and the next is too thin. It wasn't about fear, it was about harmony. About knowing that a house isn't just walls, it's a vessel for energy. And if the surrounding land doesn't support life's momentum, that vessel starts to feel off. Of course, not every cemetery-adjacent home is heavy. But if you live near one and you've been feeling stuck, anxious, unusually tired, or unable to shake a sense of gloom, don't dismiss it. And don't blame yourself. Sometimes it's not you. It's the environment trying to communicate something you haven't named yet. So what can you do? Start by grounding your space intentionally. Open the windows often. Let light in even if it feels like it slips away too quickly. Burn incense or sage not to push anything out, but to remind your home of movement, of rhythm, of life. Play music, soft, warm, consistent. Keep living things around you, plants, flowers, fresh water, real food on the table. These things remind a home that it is not part of the cemetery. It belongs to the living. And most importantly, create boundaries. You may live near a place of endings, but that does not mean your home is an extension of it. Speak this out loud if you need to. This is my space, my peace, my light. Let the energy around you know it has a stopping point. It may sound strange, but in energetic terms, clarity is power. Over time, you'll feel the difference. Rooms will start to hold warmth longer. Sleep will come more easily. Your thoughts will move more freely. It's not magic. It's resonance, your home slowly sinking back to life, step by step. Because while death deserves respect, so does life. And your home should never be a place where light fades faster than it should. Number 7. Homes where misfortune repeats, not built for the living. Some homes look perfect on paper. Great location, natural light, newly painted walls, a price that feels almost too good to be true. But after a while, if you're paying attention, you begin to see a pattern. The families who lived there before didn't stay long. One had a divorce, the next lost their job. Another had a string of illnesses, one after the other. Different people, same house, same story. We don't always connect the dots. Sometimes we blame bad luck. Other times we blame ourselves. But what if the problem isn't in the people, it's in the space? What if some homes, no matter how beautiful they appear, simply weren't built to hold joy for long? It starts subtly. You move in with hope. The first few weeks feel exciting, but slowly your energy shifts. You argue more, sleep less. You start forgetting small things, keys, appointments, words mid-sentence. You feel tired in the mornings, even if you went to bed early. There's tension in the air that no candle, no playlist, no deep clean can clear. You might think it's stress or adjusting to a new routine. But over time, you notice it's more than that. You feel off, disconnected from yourself, like your life has lost momentum. And every time you try to fix it, new habits, new schedule, even therapy, it helps for a while, then slips away again. That's not laziness, that's resistance. And sometimes it's not coming from inside you, it's coming from the house. Homes carry memory, not just through photographs or furniture, but energetically. When strong emotions, grief, conflict, despair, are lived out repeatedly in the same space without healing or release, that energy doesn't just disappear. It settles. It becomes part of the house's rhythm. The walls may not speak, but they remember. And if no one clears that residue, the next person who moves in inherits more than square footage. They inherit the emotional echo of everything that came before. That echo is what some people call bad vibes. But it's not just a feeling, it's a frequency. A subtle pattern that pulls you into old loops, arguments that sound like déjà vu, plans that stall just before success, moods that drop for no clear reason. It's not dramatic, it's gradual. And that's what makes it hard to notice, until your entire life feels like it's moving in slow motion. You may be the kind of person who believes energy can be shifted. That's true, but not every house wants to shift. Some structures were built without intention. Some were placed on land already grieving. Some have seen too much, held too much, and without proper cleansing, they become heavy, not haunted, just misaligned with vitality, not built for the living. If this sounds like your experience, you're not imagining things, and you're not weak. Sensitivity to space is not superstition, it's survival. The most intuitive people often carry the most weight in these homes without knowing why. They feel responsible for everyone's moods. They keep trying to fix the vibe. But they don't realize the foundation itself is part of the problem. So what can you do? First, observe the house's history. How many owners has it had in a short time? What were their stories? If you start to see repetition, trust the pattern. Then consider the land. Was it disturbed? Was anything buried, ignored, or hidden beneath the surface, literally or emotionally? Next, clear the energy, not just with smudging or candles, but with rhythm. Play music often, speak blessings into the rooms, rearrange the furniture to reset flow. Bring in symbols of life, plants, fresh water, art that evokes joy and movement, and most importantly, claim the space. Say it out loud, "This is my home now." It will hold peace, not pain. You're not casting out evil, you're redirecting the energy toward light. And if the house resists, if things keep breaking, if your sleep worsens, if your health declines despite your best efforts, listen to that too. Not every house is meant for you. Just like people, some places are better loved from afar. Choosing to leave is not defeat, it's wisdom. Because your home should never feel like a weight. It should hold you, not press down on you. It should protect your joy, not unravel it. So if you've been trying everything and nothing works, ask yourself, is this really where I'm meant to stay? Or is this a house still grieving its own past? Number 8, hospitals, morgues are where life ends but energy lingers. Most of us think of hospitals as places of hope, of healing, of second chances, and they are. But they are also places where the line between life and death thins out, where breath becomes a question, where tears flow freely, where some walk out healed and others never walk out at all. If you've ever sat in an emergency room at 2 a.m., you know the silence is different there. It's not calm. It's suspended, as if time is waiting to decide who gets to stay and who doesn't. That space between beeping monitors and rushed footsteps isn't just clinical, it's spiritual. Because every moment in a hospital holds intensity, love, panic, surrender, grief, and those emotions don't vanish when the shift ends or the patient leaves. They linger. Energy doesn't dissipate just because a room is wiped down. And while medical professionals may move quickly from one case to the next, the rooms themselves, especially ERs, ICU beds, and morgues, accumulate stories. Stories with abrupt endings, stories with no closure, stories that never got to say goodbye. You might not see anything unusual, but if you've ever visited a hospital and walked out feeling inexplicably drained, Emotionally numb, heavy in your chest, or unusually irritable. That's not just stress. That's resonance. You've been surrounded by people navigating their hardest hours, and even if you're strong, that weight can press into your energy field. Morgues, even more so, are places rarely spoken about. They're quiet, clinical, out of sight, but they're not empty. They've held final moments, unshed tears, names never spoken aloud again. The coldness there is more than temperature. It's unspoken sorrow. And when you're in that space, whether to say goodbye, support someone, or just pass through, it's important to stay aware, not afraid, just grounded. Because when you're emotionally open, grieving, worried, exhausted, you're more likely to absorb what the room can't hold anymore. Not spirits, not hauntings, just emotional residue that hasn't been released. And it can follow you home in subtle ways: insomnia, low mood, headaches, irritability. Nothing loud, just a slow dimming of your inner light. Hospitals are necessary, brave, sacred, but they are also energetic crossroads. They carry both miracles and mourning, often within the same hallway. Some rooms have witnessed relief and recovery. Others have held final breaths that came too soon. And just like you can feel joy in a room where laughter lingers, you can feel sorrow in places where too many goodbyes happened too quickly. In ancient traditions, people knew this. After visiting the sick, they'd wash their hands in cold water before entering their own home. Some would light a candle or ring a bell to reset the energy, not because they believed they were cursed, but because they respected the emotional magnitude of where they had just been. They understood when you leave a space of death, you must consciously return to the space of life. So what should you do now, living in a modern world where hospitals are part of daily life? You move through with awareness. When you visit, stay present, but protect your energy. Stay kind, but centered. Breathe intentionally. Avoid leaning against walls or sitting too long in certain corners. When you leave, shake it off, literally. Move your body, rinse your hands and face. Step into sunlight even for a minute. And if something feels heavy, don't carry it. Speak it out, let it go. Because grief doesn't just come from loss. Sometimes it comes from contact with a space that's been grieving long before you arrived. And your job isn't to fix it. It's to know the difference between what's yours and what's not. Not everyone feels this kind of energetic weight, but if you do, you're not overly sensitive, you're perceptive. And that's a gift when you know how to use it, honor it, shield it, cleanse it when needed. You don't need rituals unless they speak to you. Even a deep breath, a kind word to yourself, or a quiet moment by the window can bring you back to center. Because the line between life and death may pass through a building, but your home, your spirit, your body, that's where light belongs. So let the hospital do what it must, but don't let it follow you home. Number 9. Old battlegrounds, grass grows, but memory bleeds through. There are places where the land looks calm, fields bathed in sunlight, wind brushing tall grass, birdsong in the distance. You'd never know just by looking what once happened there. But if you pause long enough, if you stand still with your eyes closed, you might feel it. A pressure in the chest, a silence beneath the sound, a memory that doesn't belong to you. Old battlegrounds are often beautiful now. Landscaped, preserved, forgotten by some, romanticized by others. But the ground remembers, because war doesn't just scar bodies, it scars the earth. The cries, the fear, the violence, they don't just vanish. They settle into the soil, they echo through time. And sometimes they speak without words. You don't have to know the history of a place to feel its grief. Sometimes you drive past a quiet hill and get chills. Sometimes you walk a trail and your steps slow, even though your mind says keep going. These aren't coincidences, they are responses. Your body is noticing what your logic can't explain. The land is telling you something still hurts here. Battlefields carry collective trauma. Not one person's sorrow, but hundreds, thousands, sometimes more. And when that many souls leave the world in chaos, in fear, and injustice, the energy doesn't just disperse, it condenses, it stays. Like a shadow stretched beneath the surface, waiting for silence to rise again. Not all energy is harmful, but some is too dense to ignore, especially for those who are grieving, anxious, emotionally raw. You may visit a historic site and feel drained for days. You may leave with a weight you didn't arrive with, nothing dramatic, just a heaviness that lingers. as if something old pressed against your own sadness and woke it up. People often feel watched in these places, not with menace, with sorrow, a presence that isn't trying to scare you, but is very much there. Some report seeing shapes in the corner of their vision. Others feel pressure between their shoulders. Others walk away in silence, unable to explain why they suddenly feel like crying. This doesn't mean you shouldn't visit, but it does mean you should visit consciously. These grounds are not just history, they are memory still active. They are sacred, not in a religious sense, but in a human one. Because no matter how many years have passed, the pain of those who died there is still suspended in the air, just waiting to be acknowledged. Respect is the key. Walk slowly, speak softly. Don't laugh too loud or call out into the wind, and if you sense something, don't challenge it. Don't dismiss it either, just offer a quiet kindness, a breath, a thought, even a silent apology if you feel moved to give one. And when you leave, leave fully, shake off the weight, drink water, sit under the sun, return to the present, not because you're haunted, but because you've just touched something heavy. And even if it doesn't cling, it deserves not to be carried. In Eastern traditions, they call this energetic blending. When your own emotional state resonates with a place too deeply, the energies overlap. If you're calm and centered, you can pass through safely. But if you're anxious, lost, or grieving, you may soak up more than you realize. The land is not cruel. It simply reflects what's already inside you. So if you've ever visited an old fort, a forest clearing, a quiet field with no name and left feeling altered, know this, you weren't imagining it. Some memories are rooted deeper than time, and some peace even now is still unfinished. Let history be honored, let the land speak when it must, but don't forget to return to your life with breath, with gratitude, with a renewed respect for everything that carries more than it shows. Because grass may grow, but memory bleeds through. Final, maybe as you listen to these stories, a memory surfaced of a place you once stepped into and walked out changed. Not with fear, not with certainty, but with something unspoken pressing on your chest. A house that made you restless, a trail that turned your smile quiet, a hospital hallway that felt too still even with all its motion. If so, you're not alone. What we've explored today isn't about superstition. It's not about ghosts or horror. It's about resonance. The real, measurable impact that space, memory, and emotion can have on our bodies, our thoughts, and our energy. Science has shown us what indigenous wisdom has always known. Environments shape us, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, subtly. Some places hold grief, some hold healing, some hold nothing at all, and somehow that absence still speaks. The human nervous system is wired to detect threat, imbalance, or emotional weight before our rational minds catch up. That off feeling in your stomach, that sudden chill when the air seemed still, that heaviness that lingers after stepping into the wrong space, those aren't just moods, they are messages. And when we learn to listen without panic, we begin to live with presence, with protection, with peace. You don't need to fear the world to move wisely through it. You just need awareness. Because not every place deserves your vulnerability, and not every quiet space is empty. If nothing else, I hope this video reminded you of something you already knew deep down. Your energy is precious. Your peace is worth defending. And even in a chaotic world, you have the power to choose what you walk toward and what you gently walk away from. Thank you for walking through this journey with me, for being willing to feel, to question, to pause in places others might rush past. That in itself is a kind of healing, a kind of courage. May you walk forward, awake, anchored, and always in the light that belongs to you. Stay safe, stay steady, and stay in tune with the quiet truths that guide your path even when no one else can see them.